Welcome. Why are your achievements never enough and how to have it all? To understand why you do what you do, we must first decouple consciousness from behavior. This is because consciousness is the primary driver of behavior. So I will begin by explaining consciousness. Once you understand consciousness, it will then become much easier to see why none of your achievements feels enough. Finally, I will reveal the solution on how to have it all and feel complete. To explain a complex topic like consciousness, I will start with some context. Humans have several limitations of perception. One of our limitations of perception is regarding frequencies that allow us to see only visible light. This visible light is a very tiny range of the entire frequencies of the electromagnetic spectrum. Some estimates say that it is 1 billionth of the entire range. So we are just blind to a whole lot of frequencies. This is what happened when humans tried to find out what are the building blocks of matter. Initially, humans thought it was only earth, water, fire and air that combined to form everything. Then came Leucippus, a Greek philosopher from the 5th century BC, who introduced the idea of atoms being more fundamental to matter. But later, J.J. Thomson, a scientist from the 1890s, conducted several experiments that led him to offer a hypothesis that electrons were more fundamental and made up atoms. He did not see the electrons though. In fact, no one till date has seen an electron. His hypothesis could not explain many phenomena though. So his electron model was later refined by scientists like Niels Bohr. Then even Niels Bohr's hypothesis could not explain many other behaviors of the electrons. So then scientists came up with the quantum theory in which electrons' existence is just a probability. But even this quantum theory could not explain a lot of things, like where does the mass come from? Einstein referred to this quantum theory as spooky. In summary, true reality is not spooky, but it is just our perceptual limitations. By the way, our observable reality has not only popped out from the dimensions we cannot perceive, but it is also controlled from those invisible dimensions. It's funny that when scientists don't consider the control from outside our dimensions, they will introduce things like dark matter and dark energy. This is done to balance their equations. For example, to explain the expanding universe and galaxies, they have to account for some centrifugal force, which they call it dark energy. But we know that stars in the galaxies are not flying away. So to account for some centripetal force, they came up with dark matter. It's even funnier that these so-called dark things are not small corrections, but account for more than 99% of the force. This also happened with DNA. The current science has only accounted for just 1% of the DNA and calls it the coding part of the DNA. It does not know anything about the remaining 99% of the DNA. Just like dark matter in physics, they even gave a name to this 99% of the DNA, calling it junk DNA or dark DNA. In fact, now scientists are starting to realize that this 99% of non-coding DNA controls what genes gets expressed from that 1% of coding DNA. So it's not really junk. This is leading to a new science called epigenetics. So in summary, science calls these 99% unknowns as dark energy, dark matter, junk DNA, dark DNA, etc. But on the other hand, spirituality calls these 99% unknowns as consciousness and even self. In a way, it's also dark, but the acknowledgement of it made people focus on the effects of it on humans. This led a lot of ancient people to research the effects of this consciousness on human behaviors. In the modern world, most smart people are busy building technologies with the known sciences, which is just 1% of the whole science. The technologies that they have created from that 1% science have helped us in our survival and pleasure. But they have not been able to create technologies for the more subtler aspects of life, like love, aging, death, etc. For that, it would need an understanding of the other 99% science. But there was an era in which most smart people on the earth were focused on understanding the effects of that other 99% science. These people were called rishis in India. They were like modern day scientists building technology. But the difference was that they were building technology with that 99% science to help with the subtler aspects of life, like love, aging, death, etc. One of these technologies they developed was called yoga. It was no less miraculous than the iPhone technology of today. Yoga is more popularly known in the West for stretching and twisting exercises. But that's a very small part of the original yoga. In fact, the word yoga means to yoke or unite. It's a union with the whole. It was developed with close observation of human tendencies. They observed that people are always trying to become the whole, whether they know it or not. All your ambitions and outer pursuits are actually steps in that direction. You want to have it all. This is because you are that 1% trying to become 100% through your outer pursuits. This is why your achievements are never enough. Today, humanity wants to go to Mars, but it won't stop there, as that would still not be 100%. Because 100% would mean the entire universe. This is something that the rishis or ancient scientists understood. Yoga's method was to turn inward and become that whole instead. There's a famous quote from a mystic poet called Rumi. The quote says, "You're not a drop in the ocean. You're the entire ocean in a drop." Basically, your achievements in the outer world is like a drop trying to collect more and more drops to become the ocean. On the other hand, yoga is the opposite. It calls for turning inwards and realizing the ocean in the drop. Although yoga is very old, one of the rishis or ancient scientists called Patanjali made it easier to understand for humanity. He documented the entire system of yoga as having 8 limbs. These are like ladders or 8 steps for becoming the whole within. They are called yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and finally samadhi. Now these map to external disciplines, internal disciplines, postures, breath control, withdrawal of senses, concentration, meditation, and finally the ultimate flowering, that is union with the whole. Once you're established in samadhi, you have it all. It is also called self-realization or enlightenment. After you have it all, you can still participate in the world, but the quality would be totally different. Your achievements would now not be a way to become the whole. As you're already the whole, you would finally become totally free from your achievements being never enough. Come learn all of these at Joyoga. Thank you for watching.